What's going on, everybody? My name is Michael Weer. It's another Friday, and we are almost through the entire Friday the 13th series. But before we get to the end, to my favorite, the reboot, I'm just letting you know now, that's my favorite in the series, whatever, oh well. Before we get there, we have to talk about Jason Goes to Hell in the last 5 minutes. Like, they should have tagged that in there, because the whole time I'm like, oh, sweet, Jason Goes to Hell. It's gonna be like him fighting through hell. Like, how cool would that have been if he was, like, fighting demons in hell? Would have been awesome. But instead, we get Jason Goes to Hell in the last 5 minutes. Let's do the review.
Jason Goes to Hell. The final Friday.
So guys, Friday the 13th, part 9, or as it's titled, Jason Goes to Hell, because there were rights issues, so instead of titling it Friday the 13th, it's just called Jason Goes to Hell. It starts with Jason back at Camp Crystal Lake, and there's no explanation for it. Now, if you've seen the last couple of reviews I've done for Friday the 13th, I haven't been very nice, but these movies haven't been very good, and this follows in that exact same pattern. So I'm going to have a lot of negative things to say, but I do have one very, very positive thing to say about this movie. I'm going to save that towards the end. But yes, Jason is back at Camp Crystal Lake for no reason given. I mean, in part 8, you see him destroyed by toxic sludge, and you're like, okay, that's the end of Jason. And he's just back. No explanation given this time. They weren't even like, oh, well, we revived him with a water pipe. I can give part 8 that. But no, in this one, it's just, he's back. He's in Camp Crystal Lake, and there's this chick who's taking a shower and showing some cleavage in the dark. I don't really think you even get to see much because it's so dark of a scene. But then Jason shows up, and you're like, okay, typical opening. But then there's a SWAT team, and they've been waiting for Jason this entire time. So just when he thinks he has this girl, she ducks out of the way, and they blow him up. And I mean, they blow up every piece of his body. Even his heart flies up into the air and lands on the ground. And they're like, good job, guys, we did it. All right, now clean up this mess. And that's how I'm basically quoting the movie verbatim right there. So that's how the movie starts. Jason's body parts get brought into a morgue. For some reason, I don't even know why, but his body parts get brought into a morgue, and this doctor is going through all the body parts, and he sees the heart, and I don't know if, like, the heart was calling to him, if he was under some sort of magical spell, but the doctor decides, I'm just going to eat the heart. So he takes the heart and just eats it, and again, without any magical explanation or what's going on, because he ate the heart, he now is possessed by Jason. And that's my first biggest gripe with this movie, is that this character of Jason Voorhees is the reason we watch the Friday the 13th movies in the first place, but you only get him in the very beginning of this movie and the very end of this movie, and everything in between are people, almost actors doing their best Jason Voorhees without even putting on a mask. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it was. So you get this doctor who plays Jason for a while throughout the movie and chases people down, and then he transfers body into a cop, and then the cop to someone else, and to someone else, and just keeps transferring his body using like this new bug thing that comes out of his mouth. Like, this is a completely different direction for the Jason Voorhees character. In the first 4 movies, you had a serial killer who eventually was put to a definitive end. In part 5, you had a pretend serial killer who was trying to just be like Jason. Again, I didn't like that movie, but I've said it before, I'll say it again, there was a good movie in there. And then part 6, I think, was the best of the series, where Jason comes back as zombie Jason, and it actually sold me. I was like, this is a fantastic movie. 7 tried to continue that. I liked the look of Jason, but nothing else about the movie. 8 just was like, okay, all that happened, but he's back to being normal looking, like a man, which, again, they never explained. But 9, they don't even bring in Jason. And then when they do finally bring in Jason at the end of this movie, they've got this weird, convoluted plot that Jason has a sister, and that sister had a baby. And the only people that can kill Jason is a bloodline relative. This came out of nowhere. This has nothing to do with anything in the previous 8 movies. There's a bounty hunter running around talking about, oh, the heir of Jason. Like, no, these movies aren't like that at all. Like, they tried to make it Halloween in that he has a sister, and then they try to make it something else with there's only one person that can kill him. Like, it's this magical dagger that can kill him. Like, it just doesn't make any sense in comparison to the previous 8 movies. And I absolutely hated that they did all that in this movie. It could have been a fun movie with Jason transferring powers. I guess I would have been okay with that had he transferred powers quick enough and gotten back into his original body. Because again, that's why I want to see these movies. But when it just becomes Jason in another actor's body and that actor is just pretending to be Jason with the body movements, like, it's just not fun to me. It's not cool. And then you knew which one was Jason 100% of the time because they always walked stupid. I don't know. They were doing something with the eyes too. They would like do a close-up of the eyes and you'd be like, oh, that's Jason's eyes. I get it. Okay, I see. But it didn't make any sense because it wasn't Jason's eyes. With all that said, I'm noticing a trend with these movies. You had part 8 with Jason Takes Manhattan in the last 10 minutes of the movie. And then they were like Jason Goes to Hell in the last 5 minutes of the movie. That's the trend, and it's not a good one. I would normally get into things I like and dislike about this movie, but I've listed all the things that irritated me by just talking about the synopsis. Jason Goes to Hell is a shit movie. It really is. And I wish it wasn't. I wish that it was more. I wish that I enjoyed it. I wish I could tell you guys, wow, I found so many things enjoyable about this movie, even though it had a shit plot. But I didn't. There's one thing, one redeemable thing in this entire movie. And if you've seen the movie, I'm sure you know what it is. And that is, at the very end, Jason's mask is laying on the ground. And Freddy Krueger's arm comes up and drags that mask down to hell. And Freddy laughs. And that was the only great moment in this movie. The kills were lackluster. The acting was terrible. The plot was just awful. And again, how are you going to have a Friday the 13th movie with no Jason? At least in part 5 for the majority of the movie, I thought it was Jason. But it wasn't Jason. That's fine. Whatever. We move past that. But in part 9, it legitimately isn't even the actor. I just feel like, again, I've wasted my time and I'll never revisit yet another Friday the 13th movie. So with all that said, guys, those are my thoughts for Jason Goes to Hell in the last 5 minutes. I'm harping on that because it just irritates me so much that they would call these movies these things and then barely sell that. They were like, yeah, but we did do it. He did go to hell. It was just in the last 5 minutes. You got a problem with that? Like, that's how they acted. So that's what bothers me. But the question I have for you guys is, have you seen Friday the 13th Part 9, or I guess as it's really known, Jason Goes to Hell? If you have, put your thoughts and your comments in the comment section down below and let me know what you like or dislike about it. Is your favorite part the Freddy part as well? Because that's what's got me excited. I'm thinking about Freddy versus Jason now. I'm like, you know what? I'm excited to watch this movie eventually. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and your comments. If you like this review, hit the like button for me. If you want to share this review with your friends, make sure that by hitting the share button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, guys, I got a ton of content on my channel, and I would absolutely love if you subscribed and then enjoyed the content on my channel. This is the 9th Friday the 13th review. We have 2 more. We have Jason X and we have the Friday the 13th remake. And I'm looking forward to both of those so much because one is a very big guilty pleasure movie of mine and the other one is, in my opinion, just the best Friday the 13th movie. So I'm excited to do those for you. Stick around on my channel. Those will be coming out in the next 2 Fridays. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. These Friday the 13th reviews have been, they've taken a lot out of me. I mean, I'm happy that I've done it. It's like a goal of mine. I've gotten several subscribers because of it. And so I like all that, but they have been a lot. I'm really happy to be done soon. I think the next series I do, it won't have as many movies, won't commit me as many weeks in a row, but Halloween's coming up. Like, the holiday, so I can't really stop the scary movie Friday thing. Work myself into a corner.